O que você faria se a sua família negasse o que você é? Se seus parceiros desistissem de lutar? Se não tivesse mais ninguém para ouvir você? O que você faria com a dor de não poder ser você mesmo? Como resistir num mundo sem música?
Isso, cara!
Foda-se, velho, eu quero tocar, pô.
Você ganha dinheiro com essa banda? Do seu capricho de merda, devia botar dinheiro em casa. Não é capricho.
A gente vai fazer esse show.
Então faz essa merda direito, porra!
You're Karen, right?
Depois do toque de recolher, todo mundo tem que ficar quietinho em casa.
Não, é bem pior que isso. Esses moleques foram presos ainda era 8 horas da noite.
Não, vocês tocam com a cara de quem vai matar o mundo, cara.
Qual o seu plano então, hein?
Ainda existe a reta e nada pra dizer.
Porra, são vocês.
O tédio é a boca seca. O tédio é a boca seca. O tédio. Metendo pau e só. O gesto, o ódio, o gosto, o gosto, o gosto, o gosto, o gosto, o gosto. Existe cego e cego, sem ver. Pode stop playing. É tudo mentira, né, Arthur? Terra vermelha.
Just have to take the city back from them.
I feel very honored to take part of the international competition. This is one of the few film festivals in the world that works with this intersection between music and cinema and has room also for fictional films, which is great. I'd love to be there with you guys. Well, I would say We Still Have the Deep Black Night is as multiple as the music of the band we set up for the film. This is a drama with lots of music, but also lots of silences that emphasize what's going on in the mind of the protagonist. There are elements of comedy, and at the same time it addresses serious questions, contemporary questions about what we want for our cities and how we should face two enemies of arts in general: censorship and conformism. For many years, I had the desire to make a film about musicians. I really admire these people that have the ability to make beautiful sounds that move us. I nourished my curiosity about this universe for many years until I found a story that I could relate to, both in artistic and in personal terms. This is a story about musicians in their quest for visibility, but it's also about Brasilia, the city where I was born. Brasilia was inaugurated in 1960, and it took more than 20 years to break with a stigma, the stigma of being a boring city where the government is. It was thanks to a brilliant generation of rock musicians. We had great bands in the 80s and the 90s in Brasilia. Even I had a band back then. We started to believe in the artistic potential of the city, even in the potential of the country. Things are very, very different now, and I believe I made this film to try to understand what went wrong. We had 48 people working in the sound and in the music departments of the film, although this is a low-budget production. I believe the number shows clearly the relevance given to sound in general in this film. it is also important to say that the original soundtrack is not limited to those performing in front of the cameras. It's truly a work of a collective of artists and technicians that work for one goal, to create a powerful sound. This comes from the development of the project when I was already researching on music in order to find an approach that was unique and that would translate the edginess, the determination of the protagonist, Karen. We look for an intensity through the theme of the film. Musicians who live the drama of not being heard and not having where to play even. Well, the main actors of the film, they are musicians in real life. So when they play the songs in the film, they are playing for real. It's quite unusual to see actors playing instruments for real in a fictional film, at least with such intensity. So I'm sure it brought a genuine vibe for this film. A memorable episode, sure. The way Lee Ronaldo came on board of this project. I'm a huge fan of Sonic Youth, the band that made him famous. I spent the college days all day long hearing to Sonic Youth. They blow my mind several times with their fusion of pop music, experimental music, noise, and it would be a natural move to invite him to be the music producer of the band of the film. But we didn't have him, it was a low budget production and we didn't have the means to do so. So why bother inviting him, right? I thought back then. But one night, I was in São Paulo and Ayla Gresta, that would come to be the protagonist, Karen, she texted me. She was in a concert in Brasilia by Lee Ronaldo. I had a kind of enlightenment, you know. I text her, invite him to be our music producer. 2 hours later, she texts me again with Lee's email. I wrote to him and he replied right away. It was like that. Suddenly we have the music producer of our dreams. Music was my gateway to the world of arts, and I can say it sparked in me the desire to explore other forms of expression, especially cinema. It happened when I was around 14 and 17 years old, when I definitely fell in love with cinema. Decades later, film took me back to music. I had this intense experience with my previous film, A Violent Dose of Anything, that inspired me to develop the concept of We Still Have the Deep Black Night. So in a way, this project reunited me as a filmmaker with the young, the aspiring rocker I was in my teenage days. So this journey shows me that cinema and music can be complementary souls. They can feed each other, you know, and enrich us when combined in a creative way. We cannot let art die. Art needs engagement from the audiences. The drama we tell in the film is real, at least here in Brazil. Even before the pandemic, music venues were closing, same thing happening with movie theaters, bookstores, independent initiatives in general. Of course, pandemic made the situation worse. Can internet be an alternative? It is an alternative, but that not exclude the importance of audiences for us independent artists. So my message is, we need you, the audience.